All right, how's it going? Welcome back. We are finishing up the episode of debugging. Looks like it's been a while. I think it's been like 4 days since my last recording. I ended up moving to a different place. I lost everything. My keyboard was broken. My mouse was broken. Didn't know where my microphone was at. And I didn't schedule any videos because I was lazy and didn't freaking manage that. Anyways, I kind of fixed the error. I ended up just gutting everything. I don't know what the heck was going on. I still can't really figure it out. I think I looked it up. It was like some Visual Studios was saying like I was deleting memory that was not allocated. So it was saying like I needed to. I was I was managing my memory wrong. I don't actually know. It didn't really make any sense, so I just restarted the project with like completely different variables. I moved some static variables around because those generally are the things that like screw things over. Let me turn off the camera. So I did a few different changes. I added some log files instead of just going directly to cout. I fixed some things. I made like shader a part of an entity now, so everything is now under game, and it properly deletes things. So if we actually run this here, yeah, first of all, we actually get something that runs. Thank God. And you can see here it says entities created 6, 3083 components created. And if I exit it, we will not get an error. But let's say we, let me see here. Let's not add camera to game, and then we'll see it like come up with like a memory leak saying we don't have a component and an entity created, so it's going to have like some memory leak for us. Or it's just going to not run. Why is that happening? Let's try that again. There we go. Looks like I didn't delete everything properly, but here's the game. Here is the console. If we exit out of the game, there we go. Warning, entity memory leak 1, component memory leak 1. So everything's working properly now. I wish I could just tell you what went wrong in the last video. I didn't. I just kind of yelled at Microsoft for being a poor compiler. But I think instead of having like a component.cpp and entity.cpp and moving the static variables, component and entity count, I renamed those too just because I had them renamed in my previous project that I rolled back to. I also added game width and height because that's something I did in like a previous project. You don't really need that. It's not really going to change. It's going to stay at 800 to 600 until we use it in like the far future. But you can do that if you want. I have a static variable now to kind of handle that if I want to change that. More const expressions here, speed, amount of columns and rows. Then max sprite is actually defined instead of just hard-coded in. But besides that, it's pretty much the exact same. The logger is exactly the same as before. So I do believe that everything that I wrote so far was fine. But if you do run into problems, I mean, make sure you like leave a comment or have that figured out. And if you can figure out what went wrong with that error, I don't know, man. I'll give you like $50 if you tell me why. I couldn't figure it out. Anyways, so we're going to continue on with creating like some debug logs. Particularly, we're going to be dealing with OpenGL errors, how we handle that. And we're going to learn about callbacks. So if you notice right now, if we run our program, one callback that we are missing from GLFW is scaling. So if we like scale our window right now, it just comes up with like black bars. It doesn't actually scale our sprites or anything like that. So we want to be able to fix that so it actually scales properly. So we'll be creating a callback for that, as well as a callback for handling OpenGL errors. So let's start there. So I'm just going to copy and paste in some code. Particularly, it's going to be called the GL Debug Output. Go ahead and grab that. So this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be using API entry GL Debug Output. I'll leave a link to where I'm pretty much stealing this from. It's from like OpenGL.com or whatever, or I think learnopengl.com, I think it's called. And we're actually going to edit this a bit so it's within our naming conventions, since we're using underlines instead of camel case. Not Doug, but debug. GL debug output. And then we'll need to define this as well. And I'll just go ahead and copy and paste this in as we'll get that going here. That's actually the wrong GL debug output. Whatever, that's fine. We'll have to change this as well. I think in my main project I have it set up so it goes through the logger instead of just printing it to standard C out. Since those are pretty much the same thing, I'm just going to leave it as is because I don't have my logger solution in my notes here. I just have this one. But now we just have to set this up so that it is in our GLFW window. So to do that, we'll also make a call just underneath where we load GLAD here. So right here, logger error, failed to initialize GLAD. And we'll need to define a few things. I'm just going to copy and paste this in, and I'll just kind of explain what exactly we're doing with this. So get this in here. Well, it's pretty much just a callback. So callbacks are just like runnable functions that like run every single frame that the window is open. So GL debug output, change the name there. And all it's really doing is setting up if there's an OpenGL error. It gives us a bit more information. It has all these couts telling you exactly what went wrong with your GL code. I haven't really utilized these too much. Honestly, GL is just kind of a beast to debug in general. And yeah, there's just not much you can do. If something goes wrong, you just kind of have to start from scratch. Maybe use a step debugger, find what function is just messing up. That's all. That usually seems to be the best solution for debugging these sort of things. So yeah, I'm just sorry in advance if you're struggling with you know, like trying to do something custom like that. It's going to just be a pain. Let's see here. The next callback is the window resizing. Let me see if I can find that. I'm going to have to open up my project here. So this is my main project code. Looks like I did not. Oh, just closed. That's unfortunate. Let me try and open it again and see if Microsoft will. Oh my lord. There it goes. I thought it closed again, but it looks like it actually successfully opened this time. So that is going to be called frame buffer size callback. And all we're really doing is we're going to be updating the GL view. So if you remember from the previous video, we put this in, which just kind of resizes our window to fit with desktop requirements. So we're just going to continue to resize that. And by updating that, it will actually scale our sprites and everything to fit whatever window size we scale it to. So whenever the window, so it's like the callback pretty much only triggers once we like scale out our screen to like different sizes. So let me go ahead and get that in here. So that's Let's copy and paste this to the top here. Call it frame buffer size callback. And all that's really doing, we're inputting the window a new width and height. So whenever we scale it, it changes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's really simple. And eventually we'll also have a key callback for our process input. This is just kind of nonsense what we're doing right now. But eventually we're going to actually want to create events whenever like keys are changed on our game. So we can like constantly be monitoring the keyboard, or I guess if we have a controller, constantly be monitoring that as well. And then let's go ahead and copy and paste this function. I guess we don't really need to. It's really simple, but I'm kind of lazy with that. There we go. This is our frame buffer size callback, and all we're doing is resetting the GL viewport, continuing with 0, 0 as our starting point, and then just resetting the width and height to different values. Pretty simple. And then I believe we want to do callbacks right after window hint. Let me go and double check that here. Actually, after we create the window, that makes sense. I actually have a little comment here from when I did the rollback on this whole project here. So all we have to do is call the function glfw set key callback, or sorry, set frame buffer size callback, and all we need to do is input the window and then our function. So our function is called frame buffer size callback. So we just input the function like that. And if we run our Windows application now, let me move that over here. We can now scale our window. So there you go. Look at that. Now it looks a lot bigger, and you can still move around. Everything is just scaled properly. And that's actually one thing I didn't mention in I think this is episode 3, was when we were dealing with textures. Actually, how it it handles scaling is dealt with, I think, filter min and mag. So I think where's GL nearest? Where do I set GL nearest? This is component texture. That's CPP. Let's go to .h. So GL nearest is filter min and mag. So we're finding the nearest pixel and pretty much just adding a new one to deal with scaling. So there are other ways you can scale it if you want it so it's kind of a bit blurry, but it in some cases, for this particular case, since we're dealing with pixel art, GL nearest kind of gives us the most crisp sort of image. But if you're dealing with actual images, I forget what it's called, but there's other filters that are just a lot better for dealing with that. So you can kind of mess around with that depending on what your game is going to be handling. For mine, GL nearest just kind of makes the pixel art look a bit snappier when you scale it. So if you look here, it doesn't really lose the quality of the color. The color is just extended out rather than kind of blurred or whatchamacallit. Yeah, it just looks crisper. All right, but that's going to be it for now. Let me go ahead and get the camera back. Yeah, I'm going to be signing off for now. In the next episode, I believe we'll be doing a bit more fun stuff, not debugging at least. I think we still have tile maps to do. We still have animations. I believe animations is the next episode. So we'll have a nice little walk animation, idle animation, etc., etc. And that will make it so our guy actually looks like he's moving on the screen rather than just kind of floating. All right, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys later.